Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, 7th Canto, 9th Chapter, verse number 47. Rupe ime sadasati tava ved srishte Bijankurav ivana chanyad arupakasya Yukta samakshamubhayatra vichakshante tvam Yogena vahanimiva darushunanyatasyat. Rupe, in the forms. Ime, these two. Sad asati, the cause and the effect. Tava, your. Veda srishte, explained in the Vedas. Bija Ankurao, the seed and the sprout. Eva, like. Na, never. Cha, also. Anyat, any other. Arupakasya, of you who possess no material form. Yuktaha, those engaged in your devotional service. Samaksham, before the very eyes. Ubhayatra, in both ways, spiritually and materially. Vichakshante, can actually see. Tvam, you. Yogena, simply by the method of devotional service. Vahanim, fire. Eva, like. Darushu, in wood. Na, not. Anyataha, from any other means. Syat, it is possible. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation. By authorized Vedic knowledge, one can see that the forms of cause and effect in the cosmic manifestation belong to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For the cosmic manifestation is His energy. Both cause and effect are nothing but energies of the Lord. Therefore, O my Lord, just as a wise man, by considering cause and effect, can see how fire pervades wood, those engaged in devotional service understand how you are both the cause and effect. Purport. As described in previous verses, many so-called students of spiritual understanding follow the 10 different methods known as Mauna Vrata, Shruta Tapo Adhyayana Swadharma, Vyakhya Raho Japa Samadhayah. These may be very attractive, but by following such methods, one cannot actually understand the real cause and effect and the original cause of everything, Janmadi Asya Yataha. The original source of everything is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Himself, Sarva Karana Karanam. This original source of everything is Krishna, the Supreme Ruler. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha. He has His eternal spiritual form. Indeed, He is the root of everything. Bijam mam sarva bhutanam. Whatever manifestations exist, their cause is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This cannot be understood by so-called silence or by any other hodgepodge method. The Supreme Cause can be understood only by devotional service, as stated in Bhagavad Gita, Bhaktya Mam Avijanati, elsewhere in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. The Supreme Personality, the Supreme Godhead, personally says, Bhaktyaham ekaya grahyah. One can understand the original cause of all causes, the Supreme Person, only by devotional service, not by show bottle exhibitionism. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimmirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namah Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada is explaining here. As described in previous verses, the last verse especially we saw, Prahlāda Mahārāja is explaining 10 different methods of attaining liberation, prayah, by almost all the sages. Which are these processes? As it is mentioned here in the purport, Mauna Vrata Shruta Tapo Adhyayana Swadharma Vyakhya. People take to various austerities, tapaha, various vrata, vows, mauna, silence, swadharma, engaging in the duties of varnashrama system very nicely, adhyayana, studying the Vedas very nicely, shruti, hearing the Vedas, vyakhya, explaining this knowledge to others, rahaha, remaining in seclusion, just like many sages, they live in forests or mountains, japa, samadhaya, chanting the names silently and remaining in trance. So all these processes, Prahlāda Mahārāja explained, they are recommended to people who are usually ajitendriya, who have not conquered the senses. A pure devotee can also engage in such processes, like Haridas Thakur was engaging himself in always chanting the holy names. In seclusion, in jungle he was chanting, in a small cottage. Or Prahlāda Mahārāja found another Paramahansa. He was following a Jagar Vritti, lying in the jungle, in seclusion again. So usually, but these processes are followed by people who are ajitendriyana, whose senses have not been controlled very nicely. If they engage with the sense objects, they will use it for sense gratification. Thus it is told, remain away from the sense objects. Do not talk at all. If they talk, they will talk of mundane affairs. Do not live with people, otherwise you will not be able to convert them, they will convert you. So rahaha, maintain solitude. And when a person follows this process, still he becomes proud, dambikanam, and thus they are not able to attain liberation. Being prideless is very important. So here Prahlāda Mahārāja is telling how to have actual realization. What is a realization? Prahlāda Mahārāja explains here. Rupe ime sat asati tav veda srishte. Rupe means form. Sat asat means cause and effect. This material world is world of cause and effect. From seed comes a cotton tree. From cotton tree we get cotton. From cotton we get thread. From thread we have shirt. The cause is vanishing. The effect is coming into picture. The example Prahlāda Mahārāja states here is Bij Ankurao. Bij means seed, Ankur means sprout. As soon as the seed sprouts up, we see a small plant, sapling, and the seed vanishes. In this manner, father has produced the son, father vanishes, son continues. Then he produces further children, he vanishes. Cause and effect. So all these forms, whatever we see of cause and effect in this world, these are your forms only. Tava Ved Srishte. How do we understand it is Krishna's form? So it is explained in the Vedas, just like the soul enters this body. Then the body, when the soul takes shelter of the womb of the mother, the body develops. So whatever forms we can see, the hairs that we see, the eyes that we see, various limbs of the body that we see, these are the forms of soul in one sense. The soul only has expanded itself. In material world, it expands itself as a material body. In spiritual world, it expands itself in its own spiritual form. So thus, Srila Prabhupada explains this material form is also expansion of soul, thus it also can be called a form. Because as soon as the soul is out, the form will not remain in this world. Similarly, when the super soul enters Lord Krishna in the form of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, he enters this material universe. This universe takes all the forms that we see around us. Whatever we are seeing, all these forms have developed because Garbhodakshaya Vishnu has entered the universe. So as the soul is visible in this world through this gross form, God also can be seen through the effects of cause and effect in this material world. So ordinary person cannot understand, just like a small insect is there, germ is there on the body of an elephant, may not understand what is this elephant. Similarly, this entire huge form, we do not understand, we cannot conceive, we cannot see the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu within the universe, we cannot perceive how he is entering. But Veda Srishte, it is explained here, through the eyes of the Vedas we understand. But then, should I always have to depend on the Vedas? Prahlāda Mahārāja tells no. One can perceive it also practically, how the process is given here. Not by mana, not by tapa, not by adhyayan, not by vyakhya, not by raha, not by japa, not by samadhaya. All these things will not help us. The process which is mentioned is yukta samaksham ubhayatra vichakshante. They will be able to see yogena vahanimiva darushu nanyatasyat. So just like fire is all pervading in the wood, similarly you are all pervading in your energies. So a person who is established on the spiritual platform by practicing yoga yuktena, the process of yoga, he only will be able to perceive. So the previous 10 methods are the methods adopted usually by the jnanis, who have understood sense enjoyment is misery. So I have to take to the reverse process, minimize my sense enjoyment. This is called knowledge. So by process of karma, which is foolishness, sense enjoyment, one can never understand absolute truth. By the process of jnana, these 10 methods, also one cannot understand. But only one can understand Krishna by the process of yoga. Now which yoga? Karma yoga, jnana yoga, dhyana yoga, hatha yoga, raj yoga? No, only by bhakti yoga. Why we are telling bhakti yoga? Somebody can ask. Here only yogena is mentioned, yukta yogena. Then you will be able to see how Krishna is all pervading in his energy everywhere. So we have to understand it is spoken of here in general sense. Just like when we talk of any entrance examination, let's say medical or engineering entrance examination. So it is told you have to study hard to crack this exam. Like in India, very famous exam is IIT JEE or NEET for medical entrance. So if you have to crack these exams, you have to study hard. Now a person who is preparing for NEET medical entrance exam, he cannot tell I have studied physics, chemistry very nicely, mathematics very nicely. So you please give me entrance into this. No. So you have to study very important subject matter which are relevant to that exam. So in general sense, it is told you have to study hard to crack this exam, but then you have to understand which kind of study has to be undertaken. Physics, chemistry, not maths, but bio has to be studied for such entrance. Mathematics has to be studied for entrance into engineering colleges. So specific study is required. But in general sense, it is told you have to study hard. Similarly, in general sense it is mentioned here, yoga yuktena, you have to engage in yoga. But what is that specific yoga? That Prabhupada has explained kindly in the purport. It is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita also, bhaktya mam abhijanati. Only by bhaktya, devotional service, Krishna can be known. In Bhagavatam 11th canto, bhaktyaham ekaya grahyaye. Only by bhakti I can be known. There is no other process. And further, Prahlāda Mahārāja also will elaborate that only by bhakti yoga only you can be known. After just 2-3 verses he will explain. So only by bhakti yoga Krishna can be known. And what is this realization of Krishna? That Krishna is present everywhere, within and without. Bahe Narsimha, Hridaye Narsimha. This realization is important. So this is the situation of advanced devotees. Thavar dekhe, jangam dekhe, na dekhe tar murti. A pure devotee does not get carried away by the temporary forms of cause and effect in this material world. Thavar or jangam, movable or immovable things. Whatever a pure devotee is seeing, he is just seeing tar murti, just seeing Krishna everywhere in all the forms. So this is not any artificial imagination, but Krishna becomes manifest to a pure devotee. In all the material energy, wherever a pure devotee sees, Krishna becomes manifest. And Krishna becomes manifest within the heart. So only when Krishna is pleased by yoga yuktena, by his devotional service, Krishna becomes manifest. Vichakshante tvam, it is mentioned here. Vichakshante means can actually see. So first, Veda Srishte, one has to understand from Vedas, Krishna is all pervading. This entire universe is Krishna's universal form. All the, just like seeds and the sprout, we are seeing any cause and effect. These are all forms of Krishna's transcendental universal form. But one will be able to practically perceive also Krishna's presence everywhere. Within the universe as Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, all pervasive nature within every atom also. So this platform has to be attained. And we can do it only by Bhakti Yoga, Yoga Yuktena. Prahlāda Mahārāja has clearly mentioned here, the process of Gyan will not help you. Simply reading the Vedas, explaining the Vedas will not help. Doing rigorous tapasya is not going to help. So one may tell it is so easy, one has to engage in service of Krishna. We all have been doing who are in Krishna consciousness. Yes, it is easy. But there are few important things which I would like to cover today. So this process of devotional service has been explained throughout, but specifically it has been explained in Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter, verse number 57. Mat chitta sarva karmani mai sanyasya matparaha. Chetasa sarva karmani, Krishna is mentioning here. So Prabhupada very nicely explains this process of Bhakti Yoga Yuktena. How we have to actually act in Krishna consciousness. Simply using our hands, legs in the service of Krishna, it is good, it is the beginning. I am simply sewing clothes for Krishna. I am cooking for Krishna. I am doing some whatever regular small errands for Krishna. This is all right. But this process of Krishna consciousness is actually called Buddhi Yoga. So Buddhi means intellect, consciousness is involved. It is a matter of consciousness. So how we have to act, that Prabhupada kindly explains. Prabhupada explains, when one acts in Krishna consciousness, he does not act as the master of the world. So thus consciousness is important. So when one acts in Krishna consciousness, he does not act as the master of the world. Just like a servant, one should act fully under the direction of the Supreme Lord. Materialists, they act as the master of the world. You have heard of the famous book, The Secret. Everyone is trying to follow this manifestation, law of attraction. They tell universe is at your command. And this is what they tell. They command the universe. They practice that they have achieved the result what they want in life, and then universe is their servant. They will fulfill. So they don't know universe is not servant. We are servant of universe. But Krishna is so kind. Whatever you desire, Krishna fulfills it. But we are tightly bound by the laws of the universe. So if we desire something, Krishna gives us guidance how to act as per the laws of the universe so that our desires will be fulfilled. So, but a devotee does not act as the master of the world. Universe is at my command. No. Just like a servant, one should act fully under the direction of the Supreme Lord. A servant has no individual independence. When Prabhupada went to start the movement, we can see from the words of Prabhupada. So we should not fall for all these things. This is another form of demoniac mentality. We have come here in this world because I want to lord over. So these people explaining the law of attraction secret, of course we should have sympathy, not get angry with them. They don't have knowledge. We also were like them only. But we have to understand it is manifestation of demoniac attitude. Rather than if you want to if you want to have something, pray for it to Lord. That is also better. As it is explained here, Chaturvidha Bhajante Mam, Krishna explains. Those who are in need, they also come to Krishna, and Prabhupada tells, Krishna explains, they are great souls. Because at least they are approaching the Supreme Lord. So rather than practicing half an hour thinking about your aim and trying to see universe as your servant, better way is, if you have material desires, go to Krishna and ask the Lord. This is much better. Of course, from the platform of pure devotional service, one should not ask anything to Krishna. But still, we should not fall for this demoniac tendency. Sit and imagine, sit and visualize. No. So one does not act as master, but one acts as servant under direction of Krishna. So Prabhupada did not apply any law of attraction to establish this wonderful mission. Rather, when Prabhupada is traveling towards America on Boston, he has composed this Markine Bhagavad Dharma. Prabhupada is writing, I do not know why you have brought me here, my Lord. Prabhupada is writing, I do not know why you have brought me here. So make me dance the way you want me to. I am just like a puppet. And Prabhupada tells them, many times I was thinking people will hear or not. But let me try because my Guru Maharaj has ordered. Death has to come, let it come. But let me try to fulfill the orders of my Guru Maharaj. While writing Bhagavatam, Prabhupada tells, it is published or not, it does not matter. I am writing for my purification because my Guru Maharaj has ordered. So Prabhupada is not imagining, yes, 10,000 copies are being printed, millions of copies are being sold. No. Prabhupada is telling, I am writing for my purification. And my Guru Maharaj has told you, push these books, you write. So I am writing, I am trying to push it. Then the result is in hands of Krishna. So in this servant mode, devotee acts. It is very important. One should act fully under the direction of the Supreme Lord. A servant has no individual independence. He acts only on the order of the Master. A servant acting on behalf of the Supreme Master is unaffected by profit and loss. So thus, when Prabhupada was transcribing this Bhagavad Gita, entire transcript got stolen. Typewriter also got stolen. So one may think, what is this? I am trying to serve Krishna and my transcript is getting stolen. I am not writing for my benefit. My only belonging, typewriter, that is also getting stolen. So what is this? No. So there will be difficulties. Krishna tests his devotees. Krishna will test devotees like us. In life of Prabhupada, it happens to glorify Prabhupada's position. How he is perseverant, how he is determined, does not matter. I have written an entire book, it has got stolen. Ordinary person may lose hope. Prabhupada started writing again. So this shows the determination, the perseverance of Prabhupada. Dustahat nishtaya dhairyat. So thus I am serving Krishna and great tests may come to us. Those very instruments for service might be taken away. While I am engaging myself in service of Krishna, my health may become very poor. I may lose my belongings. It does not matter. So Prabhupada writes here, a servant acting on behalf of Supreme Master is unaffected by profit and loss. He simply discharges his duty faithfully in terms of the order of the Lord. The Lord is ordered to do this activity, I will do. Let it be Let there be loss, let there be profit, does not matter. Now, one may argue, so this is very important. Prabhupada writes, now one may argue that Arjuna was acting under the personal direction of Krishna. But when Krishna is not present, how should one act? Okay, understood. I have to act in servant attitude. Yoga yuktena buddhi yoga means acting under direction of Krishna as servant, not caring for profit and loss. But then, how do I take the direction of Krishna? Arjuna was fortunate Krishna was instructing him. So Prabhupada answers here. If one acts according to the direction of Krishna in this book, as well as under the guidance of the representative of Krishna, then the result will be the same. So two things. Krishna has spoken to Arjuna the instructions. Those instructions are present with us in the form of book. So we can follow these instructions. Now how to apply these instructions? That is why Prabhupada writes, as well as under the guidance of the representative of Krishna. So both are important. One has to read the book, apply those principles in our life, as well as Prabhupada is writing under the guidance of representative of Krishna. Then the result will be the same. Same realization what Arjuna had, Parikshit Maharaj had, we can have the same realization. We are at no loss at all. The Sanskrit word mat paraha is very important in this. Now, before moving ahead, now one may ask further question. Okay, Prabhupada was instructing his disciples. Who will instruct us? So that is why Prabhupada has set up this institution. Even Prabhupada, some people tell that no physical guru is required in physical body so that he can give you instructions. Otherwise, who will correct you if you are doing anything wrong? Who will guide you in difficulty? So we have to understand in Prabhupada's time also, not that Prabhupada was physically coming and guiding. Only 5, 10, 11, 15 people, close GBCs, they were there with Prabhupada. Otherwise, even temple presidents were not able to have direction from Prabhupada. But Prabhupada made an institution. Just like Prabhupada established the ritmic system, Prabhupada told you chant on the beads. And it will be as good as I am chanting on the beads. He empowered them. Thus Prabhupada empowered his representatives and established this institution. Thus even in 1967, hardly 1 year after establishing ISKCON, Prabhupada tells, you should be as obedient to my representative, to Brahmanand Prabhu. He was president of New York. Prabhupada writes, you should be as obedient to Brahmananda as you are to me. So if Prabhupada orders us something, it should be taken as directly Krishna is telling, Acharya Mam Vijaniyan. So if Prabhupada's representative is telling us something, Prabhupada is telling, we should be as obedient to him as you are to me. As obedient. So thus there is no difference. Then a new devotee was planning to meet Prabhupada. And but then somehow he got the inspiration to spend that travel money in the service of Krishna. He donated that to temple and he met Brahmanand Prabhu instead. So Prabhupada writes, you have done very nice by spending the passage money in the service of Krishna. And Brahmanand, he can inform you everything which I could have informed. So just imagine, where is a devotee who has been trained hardly 1 or 2 years in Krishna consciousness, who has been into all the bad habits born in American culture, hardly knows any verses of the Vedas. And on the other hand is Paramhansa, Nitya Siddha Mahabhagavat, who has come from the spiritual world. But Prabhupada is telling he can inform you everything which I could have informed personally. This is called the power of authorization. This is called power of attorney. So thus Prabhupada was not guiding physically even in Prabhupada's time. But Prabhupada told, be as obedient to my representative, your temple authority, as you are to me. And he can inform you everything which I could have done by personally meeting you. So thus one should have faith in the system of Prabhupada. Prabhupada tells in case of spiritual affairs, there is no physical barrier, but faith is required. Prabhupada tells, if you have faith that I am reading Bhagavad Gita, now I am going to associate with Krishna personally, then you are associating with Krishna personally. In case of spiritual affairs, is Maya more powerful than Krishna, that Maya has taken Krishna away from us? Now Krishna cannot instruct, or spiritual master He has been taken away from Maya. Then what is the difference between us conditioned souls and the spiritual master? No. Spiritual master Prabhupada tells is present wherever the sincere disciple wants his company. Spiritual master is present there. And Prabhupada has told, I shall be your personal guide even after I am physically no longer present, just like my Guru Maharaj is guiding me personally. So not impersonal. Some laws are given, just like the government has given some traffic laws impersonally. No. Prabhupada is telling, I shall be your personally guide, physically present or not, just like my Guru Maharaj is guiding me personally. So spiritual life, you always get personal guidance. That is why if we don't engage in devotional service and read the books, we will feel there is repetition in the books. And same instructions are there: birth, death, old age, disease. Chant the names of Krishna. Because we are not engaging in devotional service, books are not revealing any further information. If we engage in devotional service, same verse, same page, same statement will reveal newer meanings to us. Because this is a personal process. As per our devotional service, Krishna and spiritual master, they guide us personally. And then finally, Swarup Siddhi, our original form, is revealed by them. They are constantly monitoring us. But faith is required. So if we have faith in Prabhupada's system, Prabhupada's institution, we take guidance from our immediate authorities. That is as good as taking guidance from Krishna through his bona fide representative. So in this mood, one should engage in devotional service. This is the first understanding of Yoga Yuktena, acting as servant, not as master. Always awaiting the order. What can I do? And carrying out that order. Then the result will be the same. Next, Prabhupada furthers another very important aspect. The Sanskrit word mat paraha is very important in this verse. It indicates that one has no goal in life save and except acting in Krishna consciousness just to satisfy Krishna. Mat paraha means there is no other goal in life but acting for the satisfaction of Krishna. This is called mat paraha. Chetasa sarva karmani mai sanyasya mat paraha. So only satisfaction of Krishna should be the goals of all one's works. Now, second thing. So first of all, we have to come to this platform. Any activity which I am doing. So if I think, okay, I have done morning chanting nicely. Now let me see some cricket score. Let me see some movie trailer. Let me scroll some social media feed. Then this is Maya. Anywhere I have thought of personal enjoyment, then that is Maya, that is illusion. Then we are not following this process nicely. Mat paraha means there is no other goal for all the activities morning to evening. All the purpose of all the activities is only satisfaction of Krishna. In the name of Krishna consciousness also, sometimes we end up doing sense gratification. So we should be very, very careful. But this is also not sufficient. Prabhupada writes, and while working in that way, already we have decided Krishna is the goal of my life. All activities are for Krishna. And while working in that way, one should think of Krishna only. This is also important. Because sometimes devotees are not able to practice. While engaging in such activities for the pleasure of Krishna, one should be thinking of Krishna always. Now, how can I think of Krishna always? So this question was asked to Prabhupada because this was clear to the devotees. We have to think of Krishna and engage in service of Krishna. Somehow this thing has got diluted over a period of time. But it was very clear to devotees. That is why when it was emergency, the temple president of Vrindavan, it was very difficult to have cement. So he told Prabhupada, while chanting Hare Krishna, I am thinking of cement instead of Krishna. Or entire day I am thinking of, so Prabhupada told, this thinking of cement will take you back to Godhead. So one should not try to artificially, Prabhupada explained this in Lilamrita also, one should not artificially try to become Krishna conscious. Arjuna also was not told that you simply sit and think of Krishna. No, Arjuna was told to fight. But sometimes devotees go to other extreme. It means only fight and forget Krishna. Only think of cement. Prabhupada did not tell, okay, morning also you leave chanting and think of cement. No. Prabhupada was glad that he's absorbed in his assigned duty. Sometimes it can happen that our chanting is getting disturbed. But if we are following the instructions of the spiritual master, then we have to rest assured Krishna will manifest himself after this testing period in our heart. So one should not artificially try, I have to think of Krishna always, that is the aim of Krishna consciousness, let me leave all the duties, simply think of Krishna. No. One has to work hard in thinking of Krishna, but one has to practice thinking of Krishna also. So some devotees tell that Arjuna was simply told, although Krishna has clearly mentioned, Ma manusmar yuddhya, you fight, Ma manusmar thinking of me. Somehow we hear the interpretations that, no, thinking of Krishna's form is not required. Thinking of Krishna's service is also thinking of Krishna. When you are fighting in war, how you can think of Krishna? You are thinking how to shoot arrows, how to kill enemies. This is called thinking of Krishna, but this is not fact. How? We'll see. Prabhupada explains here. So before seeing that, so devotees practically asked, because it was very clear to devotees, I have to think of Krishna and engage in service of Krishna. So how to do, Prabhupada? So sometimes when I do any activity which requires great focus, we may not think of Krishna always. So one devotee asked Prabhupada, so Prabhupada, should I engage more in service of Krishna and think less, or think more of Krishna and engage less in service of Krishna? What should be done? So Prabhupada told, no. The way is, when you are engaging in service of Krishna, you should think, I am extremely incapable. I am not at all capable of rendering this service. So thus one should beg for Krishna's mercy. Krishna, please help me engaging in your service. Give me capacity to carry out this order for you. In this way, one will be able to think of Krishna. If one thinks, I am incapable of doing this service which Krishna has ordered me to do. Similarly, in this purport also Prabhupada is mentioning, and while working in that way, one should think of Krishna only. Quotes, I have been appointed to discharge this particular duty by Krishna, unquotes. While acting in such a way, one naturally has to think of Krishna. One has to train his consciousness very nicely. So simply engaging our limbs is not sufficient. While our limbs are engaged in the service of Krishna, one has to think of Krishna. How one can think of Krishna? One should always see, when I am sweeping the floor, I am cooking for Krishna, I am giving lecture for Krishna, I am doing book distribution for Krishna, I should think, I am incapable of doing this service. And Krishna has given me order to carry out this service. I have been appointed to discharge this particular duty by Krishna. In this way, we will always be able to think of Krishna within the heart. This is perfect Krishna consciousness. One should, however, note that after doing something whimsically, he should not offer the result to the Supreme Lord. That sort of duty is not in the devotional service of Krishna consciousness. One should act according to the order of Krishna. This is very important point. Now, please note this. So sometimes people think and they tell, yes, Bhakti Yoga means keep Krishna in center, do the things for Krishna, offer the results to Krishna. But very clearly Prabhupada is mentioning here, one should, however, note that after doing something whimsically, he should not offer the result to the Supreme Lord. That sort of duty is not in the devotional service of Krishna consciousness. One should act according to the order of Krishna. This is a very important point. So Prabhupada first he mentions you should note down. Then Prabhupada at the end mentions this is very important point. That order of Krishna comes through displic succession from the bona fide spiritual master. Therefore, the spiritual master's order should be taken as the prime duty of life. So this is very important. That is why Shrutakirti Prabhu, when he was servant of Krishna, one day he got desire to attend Mangala Aarti. And he went for attending Mangala Aarti. When he came back, Prabhupada told him, you have no business doing Mangala Aarti because in morning you are supposed to prepare, think for Prabhupada's translation and his taking bath. So just imagine Mangala Aarti, Shravanam, Kirtanam in the Brahm Muhurta, in the association of devotees, watching the face of the Lord while lamp is being offered. These are extraordinarily powerful activities. But arranging a bucket of water, arranging a desk, keeping the book, turning on the lamp for Prabhupada, this is as good or much more powerful. Rather, Prabhupada told him, you have no business doing Mangala Aarti. So thus what we are supposed to do for everyone, Mangala Arati has to be done. Prabhupada tells, when you die, you miss Mangala Arati. But for others, for his specific servant, Prabhupada tells, you have no business. So thus what I am supposed to do, spiritual master tells, that comes in disciplic succession. And disciplic succession means, of course, not when devotees were writing to Prabhupada. So Prabhupada told, I have appointed authorities. So in this way, this is very important. In disciplic succession, I have to approach kindly our authorities. Now we have to decide our authorities carefully. Blind surrender is not recommended here. Understand who is authority, who is following Prabhupada's instructions very nicely. Then approach them and ask them that, Prabhu, please tell me, how can I engage in service of Krishna? And then carry out that order very, very faithfully. So Prabhupada tells, one should, however, note that after doing something whimsically, he should not offer the result to the Supreme Lord. Yes, Prabhu, today I thought that I will cook for Krishna very nicely, so I am cooking. Oh, one important service was expected from you. That is also good for neophytes. But however, to make actual advancement, one has to learn. In our country, it has been culture. In every house, there have been deities, Prabhupada mentions. People have been worshipping deities. People have been offering food. Have people become pure devotees of Krishna? The answer is no. Prabhupada tells, because your chanting of mantra is of no use. Your deity worship is of no use unless you have taken it from the spiritual master. So thus, people became successful in our movement, Krishna consciousness movement. They could experience the bliss of spiritual life immediately in a matter of few days and weeks because they followed this principle. Prabhupada tells, this is very important. Otherwise, it will bring us agya sukriti. If I offer engage in service of Krishna somehow, that is good, but that is not actually Krishna consciousness. Actually, Krishna consciousness means being conscious of the servant of Krishna, his instructions, his system, and carrying out his order. So this is very important point, that order of Krishna comes through disciplic succession from the bona fide spiritual master. Therefore, spiritual master's order should be taken as a prime duty of life. If one gets a bona fide spiritual master and acts according to his direction, then one's perfection of life in Krishna consciousness is guaranteed. So please do not get confused. Many times new devotees tell, Prabhu, I am wondering what is Krishna's inspiration, what Krishna wants me to do. So all these things are not required. This wonderful institution is there. And if we take guidance, then it is coming in disciplic succession, the order of Krishna. And then you will see how fast you make advancement. So this is a great secret. So acting as servant, not as master. First principle Prabhupada explains. Servant means the order comes in disciplic succession through the bona fide spiritual master. And while carrying out that duty, one should be always thinking of Krishna. So this thinking of Krishna means thinking of form of Krishna. To support this, because I've heard other interpretations, I will again quote some Prabhupada's important statements. So Prabhupada mentions, letter to Tamal Krishna, Tittenhurst, 13 October 1969. Prabhupada writes, you are all intelligent boys and you should be engaged in Krishna's service. Then he will give you all intelligence. So in every action, we should always pray to Krishna for his help so that we may act it nicely. Lord Krishna advised Arjuna, Yudhyasva mam anusmar. Just see the same verse Prabhupada is quoting. Mam anusmar yudhyacha. So what does it mean? Simply, if I use my intelligence, how to shoot the arrows nicely, how to engage in service of nicely, just engaging intelligence is sufficient? So Prabhupada tells, Lord Krishna advised Arjuna, Yudhyasva mam anusmara. That should be our principle. We should use all our intellect as well as possible. So whatever intelligence we have, Prabhupada tells, use our intellect as well as possible. And Prabhupada is telling this is not sufficient. And at the same time, we should remember Krishna always. So mam anusmara yudhyacha means what? Use intellect as well as possible. Plan how to kill the enemies, how to arrange military phalanx very nicely, how to strategize the attack on the enemy, Prabhupada tells, and at the same time we should remember Krishna always. So if using our intellect is the meaning of Mam Anusmar Yudhya, then Prabhupada would not have mentioned. No, Krishna also mentions Yudhya cha Mam Anusmar, thinking of me. So we should not interpret that thinking of Krishna's service, planning that. No, that has to be done. And Krishna also has to be thought. Prabhupada mentions why? Because Savai Mana Krishna Padare Vindayor Vachansi Vaikuntha Gunanu Varnane. Amrish Maharaj, he thought of Krishna within the heart. Then his other limbs were engaged in service of Krishna. Mind is the center of all activities of senses. So if lotus feet of Krishna are placed in the heart, then all senses will act for Krishna. So if we are not thinking of Krishna, it will be difficult to act for Krishna. Then in another letter, 1972, Prabhupada writes, Krishna appreciates very much when his devotee works very hard to serve him. So this is another important point. Yoga yuktena, engaging in service of Krishna should be tivrena, intense, very hard work is required. Little bit I have done some service, that will not bring us to platform of bliss. One has to work very hard. Mentally, physically, one should be exhausted. Krishna appreciates very much when his devotee works very hard to serve him. So you are doing the greatest service. Do not be disturbed by anything temporary disturbance. Simply focus your energy in always serving Krishna. Under every circumstance, remember to chant the Lord's name. So first is, under every circumstance, one should always be chanting. Satatam kirtayantu mam. Whatever activity you are doing, keep on chanting. Now some devotees give this interpretation also. Don't chant always. Otherwise, you will develop a practice of offensive chanting, inattentive chanting. However, this is mental concoction. This is not right. So yes, while we are doing our 16 rounds, that time we should not be thinking of service. But while we are doing service, we should be thinking of and chanting. That is what Prabhupada is mentioning here. Under every circumstance, remember to chant the Lord's name and remember his lotus feet. Now, chanting is also not sufficient. Satatam kirtayanto mam, always chant and remember his lotus feet. And that will protect you under every condition without any doubt. So, Yoga Yuktena means under direction of spiritual master, in displic succession, order has to be received. Whimsically, I cannot think of anything and offer the results to Krishna. This is not proper discharge of devotional service. So, under proper guidance, first of all, and while doing that activity, one has to think of Krishna always. 18.57 purport. These two letters also it is clearly mentioned. And Mahamanasmar Yudhya in Bhagavad Gita also it is mentioned. And this will be possible when I am thinking that this service has been given to me by Krishna. And I am incapable, so I pray to Krishna. And always chant. So in this way, proper discharge of devotional service happens. So thus we should keep these things in mind. Take instruction from the institution, from the displic succession. Work very hard to carry out the instruction. While doing this, chant always Hare Krishna mantra in every circumstance Prabhupada is writing here. And not or. Chant always and think of lotus feet of Krishna in the heart. In this way, we will realize Sat Asiti, all the forms of cause and effect in this world, they are pervaded by Krishna. By this attitude of devotional service, Krishna becomes visible, Krishna becomes manifest everywhere. And then a person relishes bliss of Krishna consciousness. So with this we will end. Questions we will take in the next class. So thank you so much for hearing. Hare Krishna. Granthara Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.